don't know if you can find the place. You maybe want to turn north a little bit, and maybe head it towards Butler.
Yeah.
What's it like? I mean, we're in the Big Ten. I mean, it's Big Ten media days, big time conference, big time school. I mean, how cool is it for you to sit here and think, man, I'm the coach of Ohio State?
Well, listen. I mean, it's a great honor. It's a great honor to. I mean, these are big days. Obviously, it's the start of a great season and a lot of anticipation. There's nothing better than being a Buckeye. There's nothing better than being a Buckeye. So, I'm excited about what's coming. Like I said, a lot of anticipation from every team that's here, and this is a great venue for it.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Big smile.
Sure.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
Chris, obviously your focus is on your team, but the Big Ten last year, such a good conference all season long, a lot of struggles in the NCAA tournament. Is there something you can point to that maybe stands out as the reason why the conference did so well during the year but struggled in NCAA tournament time, or is it just kind of one of those things?
I think I don't know if there's one thing you can point to. Some of us ran into good teams. Some of us were a little bit injured, a little bit banged up. I know. People have talked about the wear and tear, but every league's got a certain amount of wear and tear. So I don't know. There's one thing you can point to. I think, the reality is you're playing a 40-minute game that is over in the blink of an eye, and a lot of things can happen. That's why people love the NCAA tournament. There's a lot of unpredictability to it. So I don't know if there's any one thing in particular. I think you saw some of the teams that maybe finished in the middle of our league that performed very, very well. Very well. Maryland played well. Rutgers played well. I think ourselves and Purdue and Illinois maybe certainly didn't do as well as we would have liked to. But I think that's part of the tournament too. That's part of what makes the tournament special.
You mentioned earlier you're 6 practices in the preseason, still figuring out a lot of different roles. Can you take us a little bit through what that backcourt battle looks like right now? I mean, you got some interesting faces there, and you got a lot of production.
Yeah, I think I'm anxious to see how it continues to. Honestly, I'm anxious to see every day when we come in. I think we've had some great competition at them. I think we have some answers there. We're not there yet. I think there's more things probably happening here early in the season that would signify a younger backcourt, maybe a little bit more inexperienced backcourt than what we've had in the past. We're turning the ball over a little bit more. So I think there will be some things we'll have to work through that you work through when you have a new and inexperienced backcourt. But I'm anxious to see. I think it's a backcourt that has the potential by the end of the year to be good. And Jamari's going to settle some things for sure. But, I think we got some answers there, but it's going to take some time.
You talked about maybe turning it over more than you would like. Some of that because Jamari's guarding guys.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think that is part of it. He's been he's been a problem. He has been a problem with his ball pressure. I think in general, we have to be better on that end anyway, Adam. Not just in terms of our turnover, but we just have to be better defensively in the backcourt. But he's been a problem, which is going to get guys like Michi and those guys a lot better.
You're down there talking to your teammates, or your players rather, and showing off your drip. Seeing a guy like EJ in the spotlight, and seeing him step into,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, he's the face of the team. Not a lot of first-team All-Big Ten guys come back and college basketball. How have you seen him start to take? I know we're early, but take some of those steps into being the face of the program?
He's got the best smile in college basketball. We know that. He has a joy to him as a person that I think is really contagious, Adam. Anybody who spends time with him just appreciates who he is and his personality and his disposition. And that's how he is, man. He just is. You've been around him now for 2+ years, And when he said the other day that he really did want to leave a legacy of success here, I think that was from his heart. You know, he really does care about leaving a legacy, and a significant one. He understands more winning has to be done, but you know, you love a kid who's coming back with that mindset.
When you have someone like him who is a public figure at that point, and he's dealt with the downside of being a public figure. Have you seen him embrace the attention over time? Does he have to be a little bit guarded based on what
I don't know. That's probably a good question for him. You're talking about with social media?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's probably a good question for him. You know, you hope that he continues to just be who he is, because we all know that's 99% of the people appreciate him for who he is. And we understand, unfortunately, that's, you know, there's no excuse for what happened to him, none. And we did everything we could to kind of find and potentially take action there. We kind of left the ball in his court. As I said, it represented some of the worst of humanity with those comments. But I think EJ's the kind of kid that is he'll move on. He's going to live in the moment. That's what I'm going to challenge him with every day.
He was talking to us last week about growing confidence and taking shots that sometimes maybe you don't like, but he practices those, and growing into a better shooter and things like that. I'm just curious how you've seen him grow and kind of dealing with a personality like that, where you may do some things maybe Dwayne-like, where it frustrates you a little bit, but he also, it sounds like, has confidence in that shot, and I assume you want to see him make plays and score the basketball.
I do. He's going to have to do that for us. He'll run some point, but he'll also play, whether he's playing the point or not. I think scoring's going to be an important part of his role this year. We need that from him, either at the point guard spot or the combo spot. So, I think he's going to grow into a bigger role. So I think there will be some stuff that naturally we'll work through. We're going to need, a lot more from him than what we needed last year. And that's just the reality. And I think he's ready for it. I think as long as he stays healthy, I think he's poised to have a good freshman year. And that's kind of it's his first full year, so we're still calling him a freshman.
He's good.
But I think he's poised to have a good freshman year.
His personality really we haven't talked about it. What does he bring to the locker room? Guys seem to gravitate towards him a little bit. Him and Jed going back and forth. What's he like behind closed doors when you don't see him?
Say the last part again. I'm sorry.
What's he like when not on the court? The personality, the person of Beachy Johnson. Just
He's really outgoing. He's got an infectious personality.
I think it's the best city.
He's
Hotels.
He's a kid that I think people. He's got a charisma to him, and I think people gravitate to that. I think he's been a really fun kid to coach, and obviously made the transition last year, but I think Buckeye Nation's going to enjoy seeing a young kid kind of grow into his own this year. We got a couple kids that I think people may know a little bit about, but they're going to learn a lot more throughout this year.
It's going to be hard to get certain guys a bigger role given through some of these seniors on the team. So I'm thinking about a guy like Eugene Brown, for example. Is it going to be hard to get certain guys the amount of minutes that they want to get, even some of the older guys as well?
We'll see. I think everybody's going to, we've talked about that. That's going to be a common challenge for a lot of people. You look at a lot of these rosters, and they have a lot of guys. I think role definition and those guys that can accept and embrace their role is going to be critical for every team. Right now, I'm not ready to say what our rotation's going to look like. We've had 6 practices. I think it's still very much a competitive challenge every day. So I'm not, certainly some guys have maybe established themselves through the first few practices, but we'll know more here in the next month, and I think we want to keep it wide open, really for the better part of the first part of the season, and not make any real determinations yet. There are certainly some guys that have earned some things, but there's a lot of positions still up for grabs.
EJ said he wants to be remembered like a guy like Aaron Craft in the Ohio State program. What do you feel like he needs to do in order to kind of attain that status in terms of Ohio State athlete?
I think he's just got to continue to be EJ and elevate his team like he has. And obviously, while we've had good success, there's another level we'd like to get to. And I think he understands that a lot of the guys that are remembered have been able to get to another level. And winning's really, really important to him. But how he carries himself too matters. And he and Kyle are pretty special when it comes to that.
Can you talk about Seth Towns coming into the game of basketball, the fact that he's still dead set on having
Player of the year, we're number one. All-Americans, we're number one. I mean, so
Hey, I think he'll handle it fine.
we just haven't won that.
I think he'll handle it fine.
17 since
I think that
2010 or 2000.
it's not a season-ending injury. As a matter of fact, he should be able to play for at least a half to 2/3 of the season. He understands that. I think it's not like this is the first time he's went through an injury. It's a separate injury than his knee. I think he'll handle it with the kind of maturity that he's handled the previous one, and I think he's going to come out on the other end of it really well.
You're quarantined in the same hotel, so it is what it is. But we're a great league. Whether we won that last game or
Well,
not,
he's,
and I think the stats.
as you can imagine, it takes some time. He's Hawaii laid back. He is very much his own person. He's a great kid, great kid, and a really good player, really talented. But he's got a really laid back island approach. So I think it's taken a little bit of time, and it's taken a little bit of time for me to kind of figure out what the best way sometimes to challenge him. But he had a really good junior season, really productive. We talk a lot about Kyle being banged up and obviously out for the end of the season, but so was Justice, and that was a factor for us. He just, whether it was the Big Ten tournament or whatever, he just did not feel himself at the very end. We need both those guys for us to reach our potential. I did not. I did not. It was really unique.
That's a great question. Yeah.
I wanted to,
Maryland. Yeah.
and if I was hoping he was there so I could actually make that happen. But he'll be a good former player to visit someday for sure.
I just wonder, maybe getting to know a family.
My third year.
I'm sure, because when you recruit guys, you always talk about getting to know.
My second year in Jacksonville
You got
State,
to
we
spend time
signed
with them.
Yeah, I think
How well do you know them?
Yeah, we've gotten to know his family a little bit. Actually, we've gotten to know his family a little bit, and it's been they're great family. They're great people. His dad's super laid back as well. His mom's a little bit more like a little bit more kind of like you'd expect to balance probably Justice and his dad. But they're great people, and he loves the island, man. He loves being over there.
Coach, speaking of Kyle, talk about he kind of like the heart and soul of the team.
He's special. Yeah, he's really special. Bottom line, he's special. He's, as I said on stage there, those are two of the best kids, I've ever coached in a lot of ways. They embody everything you want. And they're really good players. They're really talented kids. He is the heart and the soul. He's versatile, which is why, losing him when we lost him was so important because of the matchup. But I'm just hoping for the kid that he has a full season.
I'm going to take us back to that moment when you realized Kyle was back. You don't need to disclose personal conversations, but that moment when you realized, man, this guy's back for sure.
It was one of those deals where he really needed to make the decision in his own time and process it in his own way. I felt like it was trending in that direction, but I wanted it to happen in his own time. It was obviously a huge thing for when both those kids returned. It was a huge thing for our program. in a lot of ways, if they'd have made the decision to move on and they thought it was best for them, I'd have completely understood. But I think, hopefully in some ways, you're talking about guys who've really invested a lot in the program, and I think it validated that they believe in what we're doing and want to continue to press it and move it forward, and that's our challenge here.
And I'm sure we have hope that resonates, but do you get the impression that some of the younger guys took notice in that same way? Hey, whatever happens after school, we'll still be there. We'll have a lot of, we've got a program player who has so much time to do. You get the impression that your underclassmen sensed that when they decided to go.
Sensed what exactly?
Sense the commitment level that those guys have to being part of the program.
I think it was a factor for sure, both guys. I think when they saw both guys return, but the way these things work, EJ would not have returned if he didn't feel like it was in his best interest and gave him the best chance to prepare for the next step. That's the way these things work nowadays. And I understand that. That's the world we live in right now. Kids aren't going to return just because they want to return. They can still love the school and say, hey, it's in my best interest to keep my name in the NBA draft. Sometimes that's hard for us to conceptualize and understand because we've worked maybe under a different paradigm for a long time. But I think if they both would have said, if Kyle would have said, hey, I want to go play professional, and EJ would have said, hey, I want to see what this NBA draft takes because it's in my best interest, we'd have loved him. They love Ohio State. They loved our team. I think they felt like, in a lot of cases, it was best for them. And they really, I'm sure in some cases, they felt like there was some unfinished business as well.
Where's Jimmy Soto's health at, and what does he give you this year?
He's full go right now. And he's one of those guards competing, but he's full go. He's full go. No, we've had some guys at him that had maybe some flu, or we weren't sure if it was COVID, so they had to sit out a day to get the testing. We've had some of that, but nothing, no ankles or nothing of note right now.
I always say he was 1 out of 4 days or 1 out of 3, and he was every other day. And now he's probably good 4 out of 5. Some weeks he's good 5 out of 5.
Bring the trophy back.
And,
what will it mean to get to that?
And he's just really mature.
It's been a little while now for Ohio State.
Yeah.
He's taking care of his body. He looks good. Normally he goes home in August and put on 10 pounds. He can do that this year.
I think.
So he's really committed.
I think it's something as a head coach and as the leader, it's something you think about every day, and you're really obsessed with it. And yet at the same time, I think you recognize that the best way to accomplish that is to really stay in the moment and stay committed to just improving. We've been close in as you mentioned, in the Big Ten tournament, and obviously our first season, and then last year, really leading up until the last 4-game stretch, we were running. I think. Again, we've established a level of success, but in terms of getting to that next step, whatever some of those next steps are, that's what we think about consistently, and ways to best prepare ourselves to do that. I mean, it's a constant. There's no question. There is a hunger for that, and in some ways an obsession for that. At the same time, we have to stay committed to just the process and can't always, you begin to think too much long term. It can really challenge you in the moment. So,
You said there's been, the next break.
Yeah.
Is it hard to mirror those two approaches where you want this game to hold? Is it, I guess, what is the challenge as opposed to not getting ahead of yourself and look past the next break?
Yeah, I think focus on the bricks, not the wall. We are trying to do that. We've talked about that. It's really, honestly, it's a daily discipline because we all want nothing more than that. Those guys down there do. I do. We want nothing more than to make that happen for our fan base and our program. And I think we've made real strides. We've established a level of success, but that's the next challenge in front of us.
You said there's been a bit of a learning curve for Cedric since coming over from Louisiana to here. I know you've only gone through 6 practices, but what have you liked so far out of what you've seen through those 6 practices, and where's maybe the biggest steps that strides he needs to make?
I think he just has to get comfortable with the pace and the speed of this level, the length, size, pace, and speed of this level. He's a great kid. I'm excited about. I think he'll continue to grow and learn, but I think just the size, the length, and the speed of this game, of this level, is just a little bit different than what he consistently saw. But he's a really good player, and he's going to be fine. I think we'll see his best basketball probably as kind of like mid-year on. I could really see that with him. You know, I try not to put freshmen on schedules. They're going to run their own race. So we'll have him run his own race. He's had some really good days. And then he's had some days where he struggled, but some really good days.
Do you look at your non-conference schedule at some point and go, what was I thinking putting this together?
I do. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I do. It's the hardest non-conference we played, just because you got teams like Seton Hall's going to be really good. Akron's a really good mid-major to start the season with. Xavier's has its best team it's had in a few years, and then you guys are going to talk about some of the other ones. So, yeah, it's going to be a challenging one. The most difficult non-conference, and maybe not by a wide margin, but I think the most difficult we've played.
Do that knowing, we have a veteran team, we've got a team that I want to see challenge. What is the thought process when you decide, hey, let's really challenge these guys, let's push this?
I think it's some of that. I don't know that I'd play as hard a non-conference with a younger team because they have to build to that. But yeah, when I got here 4 years ago, it's what I heard a lot too. We want more challenging non-conference games, and that's not the reason why you do it, but it's kind of always been my mindset anyway. You just learn more about your team earlier. We do have a veteran group, and I think we want to learn about our group early. What you don't want them to do is you don't want to put them in a place where they're struggling going into the deepest league in the country. So, I think it's always a fine line in scheduling. How tough we are, how connected we are, how we handle adversity, all the things you hope a good team. You learn from a good team. Those main things. Did you have some?
How different is this team offensively without Dwayne? How does losing Dwayne change?
Well, I think Dwayne and CJ, because they balanced us in a lot of ways, and I think CJ's ability to kind of get us what we need to get to. But also, we're going to be a little bit different because EJ's, while he played the 4 offensively, he was always guarded by the 5. And now it's we're going to be playing typically a bigger lineup, so there'll be a little bit of less of a mismatch, maybe potentially at times. But I still think EJ is going to be able to take advantage of that. I'm excited. I think this team is good offensively. Again, last year we were elite offensively. Are we going to hit that level? I don't know. The challenge is, can we be better defensively?
We haven't seen Seth at 100%. I don't even know, you've obviously scouted him, but if he can get healthy and play at his best, he seems to think he can still be a very good basketball player.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
What does that look like in an ideal situation where he's as good as he can get?
I don't know yet because we haven't seen it. But his knee was the healthiest it's ever been this late summer. His knee was the healthiest it's been, and I say that in 4 years, 3-4 years, since his injury, I should say. His knee was the healthiest. So I think he can get there. I do think he can get there. I just don't know what it looks like exactly.
Last couple questions here. What problems does year 3 of Kofi present?
Kofi?
Yeah.
A lot of the same problems that year 1 and year 2 presented. He's a massive human that is a real matchup problem, and you just have to game plan for him. He's a tremendous player. Seems like a great kid too. He's a tremendous player. So he's a better player, I'm sure, in year 3, but he was really good those first couple years as well.
How have you seen Brad elevate that program the last couple of years?
Brad's done a great job. Yeah, Brad's done a great job. It's a great program with really, I think, a fan base that, you know, they love their hoops. We played them obviously in the Big Ten championship game. It was a phenomenal environment. You know, I know we have not played them with fans at their place yet, but I know that environment's an incredible environment. So, yeah, Brad and his staff's done a really good job, and you know, I think it's a program that for a number of years has obviously been a tremendous basketball program. They're great kids, and I think you build team chemistry when you have great kids who are unselfish and want to be great teammates. So that's the challenge for all of us this year. You know, they're really good kids with big personalities, but you know, it's a challenge when you go through a full season to see what your chemistries will be like. There's no guarantees that it will be as good as it was last year. That's something we got to build to.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys.